You're watching The Wave. I'm Franc Han Shih. Thailand is facing multiple challenges in propelling the economy. One of them is aging population, which has affected the economic growth and business climate. According to the latest report on the demographics, 1 in every 3 Thais are expected to be over age of 60 by 2029. And joining me now is Mr. Cracknell, Chairman of Grant Thornton Thailand, to give us more insights on the paper on aging society in Thailand. Thank you for your time, Chris.
Thank you, Frank. Pleasure to be here.
Right. I think this topic is very important for Thailand's society and economy too. So in the paper, IBR, or International Business Report, I think, how will Thailand's rapid aging trajectory impact the country's productivity, and how will it affect business climate and sentiment on the ground?
Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this, because we think this is a very big issue that's often not spoken about. Thailand's economic growth came at a period from, say, the late 80s, where the population was large. We had an available workforce to come out of agriculture, to go into manufacturing, to go into construction. And actually, from that period of time, we also had the growth of the middle class, people moving into Bangkok, into other cities, and actually office work becoming more common. And we created a middle class that also had different aspirations in terms of career path and going forward. Step forward to where we are today, and the birth rate, the fertility rate. Now, a replacement fertility rate is 2.1. Birth rate, replacement rate at the moment in Thailand is 1. So we actually, at the moment, for the last 4 years, we've had more deaths than births in Thailand. So this huge workforce that has propelled the economy forward. We've always seen Thailand as a service economy, people looking after people, service, tourism, manufacturing, great labour force available, agricultural labour force exporting produce all the way around the world. And then we look forward and say, where is this workforce going to be in the future? And it's just not going to be around. People are having less children, they're having later in life, and society is not ready for this change. Put on top of that the fact that now you have an aging society, so more people are moving into the older category, over 60, as you said. Those people are living longer, better healthcare, better environment, safer work conditions, etc. So people are living longer. But there is no preparation to pay for them. They need new services. Retirement homes, etc. are going to be part of societal requirement. And then you look at who's going to pay for this. And we look to the government for the majority of people. And the government hasn't accumulated enough taxes to pay. So if you have a smaller workforce paying less tax and more demand upon the cash that's available collected by tax, you have a problem looming in the future. And it's on many fronts. It's on looking after the aged care people themselves. It's on how we're going to generate enough growth in the GDP to generate the cash, the taxes, etc., to fund all of this. And it's a cliff which Thailand is teetering on the edge of.
Yeah. And you talk about a lot of points that have to be mentioned. Of course, alarming their death rate is more than birth rate here. I think audience or the public really wants to know the answer, as in why Thailand is aging so quickly at this moment. Of course, we need policy intervention to curb this rate and trajectory too. So what are the main implications to Thailand, to the business, and to the society now?
So I think when we look for Thailand in general and the economy, firstly, we've got to look at where is the workforce. So if we just think of our workforce in carrying on as it's done in the past, then we're not going to have enough people. And we've already seen in the last 10, 15 years greater use of foreign labour coming into Thailand in areas like construction. But we also know that this isn't a brilliant answer. It works temporarily, it does help out, but it won't help longer term, because the money the foreign labour earns, the majority is actually sent back to their home country, doesn't go to fuel the GDP here in Thailand. Thailand's not alone. A lot of the Western world and lots of parts of Asia also have rapidly ageing populations. China, South Korea, Japan, for instance, all have rapidly aging populations. But they've all built their country's wealth over a much longer time than Thailand. Thailand's only had an economic spurt since about the 80s and 90s, coming through to where we are today. So the impact is bigger. The reserves, cash-wise, etc., are not as great. So let's look at some solutions then about what Thailand can be thinking about going forward. In terms of the workplace, I think things like maternity leave, where Thailand falls well behind its comparator groups, might encourage people to have more children. One of the key reasons a lot of people don't have children is because I can't afford it at the moment, or it doesn't fit my lifestyle, etc. Maternity care would enable, or maternity pay, would enable people to actually carry on with their job, have a period off to settle in a newborn child, and then return to the workplace. Societal changes here in Thailand. The old multi-generational campus of living, where we had 2 or 3, 4 generations of family all living together, and the elder generations could help look after the younger generation. Well, since the growth of the middle class and younger people wanting to buy their own apartments and being more independent, that has broken down. So again, it's not a solution that's applicable. Paid maternity leave would help solve part of that problem. Then Thailand has got to look at things more structurally. Productivity. We have to get greater productivity to generate the same wealth. And this is a challenge for Thailand anyway. Wage rates in Thailand, by comparison to, say, India, the Philippines, etc., Indonesia, are very much higher. So we've got to drive greater productivity. 2 things can impact here: greater use of technology and AI, reshaping the way things are done. And the second is education. And a radical reform away from rote learning to inquisitive learning, so that people are in a position to answer questions and deal with situations themselves, rather than the traditional way here of just teaching people how to do it once and just doing it on a repetitive basis. We need to drive greater productivity from the workforce. And this in turn will drive higher wages and again help fuel competitiveness for Thailand within Asia and on the global stage.
Right, and you talk about, of course, emphasize a lot of points. For example, education. That is very important for Thailand, and of course, policy intervention, including maternity leave, how to really match the standard on the regional and global stage there too is very important. One part I have to talk about, of course, in your report, according to, you quote, WHO, super age society in 2050 for Thailand is over 20% of the population age 65 and over. And if there's no policy intervention coming in 2083, population may as low as 33 million. Right now we have 70, of course, over 70, but we don't want to see that coming, of course. So what factors, as you already talked about, for example, Japan, China, and Western countries too, they also face this issue. What factors can Thailand really stop or even just curb this trajectory? Of course, you talk about policy interventions already. What about other factors?
Okay, well, let's just go back to some of the base things here. For the last 4 years, there have been more deaths than births. And we have a population that is getting older, that is going to need more care, and is not, in a sense, contributing through work, paying taxes to the centre to help fuel and pay for education, aged care, healthcare, etc. The fundamental is, I think, in Thailand here, we can't go backwards. We have to look at this as an opportunity to grow the economy. So let's look at the sort of industries we're involved with and move away from, say, some of the old traditional ones of heavy manufacturing and look at next generations, tech industries, etc. Let's look at educating people to suit these industries so that they can support their growth here in Thailand. They have greater value around the world now because we are more expensive as an economy. I think I'm going to go back to the education point, which I think is critical. Education in Thailand has been traditionally built around rote learning. And if we look here in Bangkok, we actually have a budget that is greater for garbage collection than we do for education. And I cannot believe this is right in this day and age. I think we need to be preparing people from a young age for the new world in which they're going to live in. And for the youngsters growing up today, it's going to be, how do they use AI? How do they learn to use AI to support them at work? And rote learning isn't necessarily going to give them those skills. If we're going to rely more upon technology, then that's where we should be placing the emphasis. Tourism is another big part of Thailand's GDP. I mean, tourism essentially has frontline tourism with the airports and the hotels. People interact directly with tourists. But we mustn't forget the massive population that also supports all of those frontline tourist industries. So actually tourism is a very big part of Thailand. And Thailand is very famous for its quality of service and the way it handles visitors, etc. When we look into the future, I'm probably the bigger fan of actually selective tourism. We need to be going more up market. We need to look for bigger spenders who want a real experience, something that is special and world class. And again, to enable this, if we can educate people in school and coming through school to move in, and perhaps language skills would be a huge advantage in tourism. Multiple language skills to relate better with tourists would again help boost tourism here. For me, just bringing in numbers of tourists and saying, oh, we've grown it by X million this year or Y million is maybe a good soundbite, but I don't think it's fundamentally going to really help structurally in the longer term for Thailand. It's part of the solution. But again, Thailand needs to differentiate and be clear upon what it's offering tourists here.
Yeah, so you talk about like partial solutions for the aging society in Thailand too. But actually, I want to talk about imminent or ongoing challenges that you point out in the paper too. One is that two words that really pointed me out is brain drain. That highly skilled workers in Thailand, some of them, they might see opportunities outside of Thailand and they will just move to that country or that area. Also, birth rate going down, already talked about that, and cultural and generational issues. This is a very interesting point too. How do this factor really, in some ways, worsen the effect of aging society?
I mean, Thailand, as you know, has a fantastic culture, long-built traditions, great values, and it's part of what differentiates Thailand around the region and against the rest of the world. But we're living in a very mobile environment today for youngsters. Knowledge moves quickly, irrespective of international borders. We have technology, we go onto our computers, onto our phones, and we can learn about all sorts of things that are going on around the world. The workforce that we have here, the educated workforce for the future, is also a mobile asset. So if Thailand doesn't produce policies to keep those people in country, they're going to look for job opportunities overseas. Many of them may have been educated overseas. They've had a taste of what life's like, they've seen higher wages, they've seen business opportunities that they may not see here in Thailand. They may see Thailand as very hierarchical and time-orientated, whereas overseas they may see as younger people an opportunity to fulfill their dreams in a quicker timescale. If this is the case, the talent pool for the future will be tempted to move away. Now the big question is, will it come back later on or not? I think the evidence is that once people have moved away, created careers overseas, perhaps integrated into another society, they are less tempted to come back and work here in Thailand. So I think the key thing here for government and business leaders is to make sure that they provide an environment for employees that enables them to grow rapidly to their full potential, so that they can use their intelligence and their ideas and apply it in reality. I talk to a lot of younger interns and graduates that come into Grant Thornton and want to sort of build their careers. And they're very keen to get on with it. They don't want to stop and wait and think, oh, in 20 years' time I'm going to be here. They want it all much more quickly. They're not prepared to wait as long. So there's a big societal change in the attitudes of the younger generation compared to that of the older generation. When I came into the workforce, we looked for security, we looked for longevity, we looked for the ability to grow over time. But those coming into the workforce today have seen what's available elsewhere around the world, and they want to grow quickly. They want to try. They're not scared to fail and then try again and build their careers. So I think when we're looking at Thailand going forward, we can afford to be incredibly proud of our history, tradition and culture. But I think now is the time to also factor in the needs of the younger generation, their aspirations, expectations, and how they're going to contribute to the future success of Thailand itself.
Very quickly, of course, we talk about Southeast Asia too, earlier on. Indonesia, of course, has much younger workforce than Thailand. What does that mean for Thailand?
I think the first point I'd make is I think we need to stop thinking of Thailand as an emerging economy and look at it more as a mature economy.
Yes.
And many of our surrounding neighbours, say the Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, etc., they are emerging. They're still going through their growth spate. And in a sense, they're running about 10, 15, 20 years behind Thailand. Thailand's ahead of the curve. So I don't think we should be comparing ourselves necessarily to them. Yes, they're a competitor in terms of attracting foreign investment, etc. Thailand has to differentiate itself. It has to set out a new reason for people to want to invest here.
Yeah, sorry, Chris, but have you heard your counterparts or stakeholders that they right now invest in Thailand, but they may think, okay, relocation to those economies is beneficial to them. Have you heard that?
Yes, I mean, certainly if we look at the older manufacturing industries, etc., it is potentially more attractive for them to move to some of these newer countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, wherever. This is why I'm saying that Thailand needs to rethink what its future industries are going to be. There was an excellent paper produced about biocircular green, the BCG paper, which had great aspirations about the sorts of things Thailand wanted to be involved in longer term. And again, I think that set out a number of industries. If we look at technology, chip manufacturing, if we look at data storage, data centers, etc., there is a great opportunity for Thailand to play in that arena at a stage ahead of its regional competitors. So I think it's not a question of it's broken in Thailand. It's Thailand needs to now evolve to the next level and be competitive on the world stage and learn to accentuate its points of differentiation, which are good, and not just think we want to stay where we were 20 years ago. Trying to recreate history is not going to be possible. It's about the opportunities that are out there in the future. And foreign investors do want to come here, but not necessarily in the way they used to in the past.
Last question before we end the interview. What are imperative policy for the government for short term, of course, to really curb the aging society trajectory now?
I think there are some things that they can do very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Short term, things like maternity leave, etc., will help, encouraging that. I think they've got to make a start around education, which I know is a longer term change, but I think that's got to start now. It's got to start with the youngsters in school. We've also got to look at how the teachers are training them and teaching them. And that's a big project, but I think it's an essential part of creating change. I think we can afford to look at the industries to retain people here in Thailand. So we've got to give them job opportunity. This is about business actually realizing the world's changing or Thailand's changing and setting out career paths that are really going to engage with the younger generations and make them want to contribute here. Next, I think we need to make it easier for foreign investment. I think we can do certain things here in Thailand that would engage foreign investors again more quickly. And I think for Thailand itself, we have so much opportunity. If we just brought greater levels of technology into farming, for instance, we could improve the productivity out of farming. if we bring in greater technology into manufacturing, our productivity there will also go up. Again, some short-term measures. We have a massive amount of the population tied up providing government services. We could release part of that back into the general workforce to support the country going forward. In the short term, I think this issue is not going to have massive attention because the economy is looking quite challenging for the next sort of 6 to 18 months, or perhaps longer. But after that, when the economy picks up again, I think we're really going to feel the effect of a lack of workforce, a lack of trained workforce, and a lack of productivity that's going to keep us on top against our neighbouring countries.
Yeah, as what you said, of course, I think right now linkage to the economy, maybe people talk about political instability or border tensions here, and when that economy really picks up, we will, of course, focus on aging society and population too, but it might be too late. So right now, maybe it's the time for the government or authority to really curb that for the imperative policy intervention here. So today, of course, thank you for your time. Chris Cracknell here, Chairman of Grant Thornton Thailand, today to give us insight on aging population. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. My pleasure.
More news to come.